What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Two Sisters, One Book. I'm Carla.
I'm Amanda, and we're two sisters, two moms tackling one book at a time. And then in our last episode, we left off where we saw Violet picking poison berries, and we also saw that Violet found out that Xaden is meeting with more than three marked ones at a time. So then we jump into chapters 8 and 9, which is, I feel like there's a lot of information in there because we see that Violet has kitchen duty, and then we go into Professor Kaori's class, and he goes through all the dragons, like the scorpion red tail dragons, the green dragon, which we find out that Mira's dragon is green, and then we go into the navy blue dragons, the black dragons, and then the next chapter we see Xaden giving Violet a a fighting lesson, if you think about it. So going back to chapter 8, what popped out at you the most in chapter 8?
The descriptions of the dragons. I loved that part. When I was reading it, I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. Because I love a good what do you call it? Like I like to know what the difference is between the dragons essentially. And I loved that they were, color coordinated and each one had its own personality. I thought that was really exciting. Um, and I don't know, I just love that. I felt like we were getting a inside look into obviously a part of the book we don't know about, but yeah, the dragons, those just
And
ooh,
isn't
those
it
got me.
so cool that Professor Kaori's signet is he could just make everything look like life, like
Yeah.
he's like a human projector. So it's like you really got a visual and all that stuff. And I
Yeah,
feel
I thought that
like
was so cool. I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm literally, as I'm reading it, I'm visually seeing, like this 3D projection of like a smaller
yeah,
version of what is in his mind, which is super cool.
yeah.
That's a pretty cool signet, I'm not gonna lie.
I know. I was like, I kind of want that, but and then we see like the red ones are more temperamental, the blue ones are more ruthless. The black ones are more rare. I think there's only two. The the black dragon that he showed, and then General Melgreen's dragon.
Hmm.
So that was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Like no blue dragons want to bond this year, and no black dragons want to bond this year. So
Yeah,
and then
that's
they even said if you see Sigel out on the threshing, so like, and she's not with her rider, you better get away.
yeah, so that's when I was reading it, I was wondering. I'm like, so is it like if the dragon is not with the rider, does that change the way they see humans, or is that just
No, I
because
just
this
think
specific dragon is very ruthless and plays by its own rules?
probably that the ruthless and plays by her own rules because Jack says that they could only talk to their bonded dragons. So can you imagine if you're next to this blue dragon and she's like telling you to get away from her or something, and you're just like, I have no idea what's happening. It's like, fine, I already warned you, I'm gonna eat you. Like that would suck. But I feel
Yeah,
like if you see a dragon that's bonded and they're not with the riders, just stay away from that dragon because you have no idea what it's thinking. So
except when you're in the what is that called? When they're actually trying to bond with the dragons, right? That's when you're actually trying to.
no, well, yeah, you'll be around the dragons, but even then, if the dragon doesn't choose you, you're not going to hear what it's saying. You only hear it once it bonds to you.
Imagine
So
running
it's
after
like,
the dragon, like, wait, I choose you, come back. It's
I was
like, get
thinking of
away.
Pokemon. I choose
That's
you,
exactly what I thought
Pikachu.
of.
And they're like, oh no, child. And it's like, oh, goodbye. But yeah, that basically sums up all that fun stuff too. Oh, no, it really doesn't because we find out a little more about Brennan. So, what did you feel about that little information that you received? Or you just didn't really not ready
Well,
for
I kind of had a feeling right when Professor Kaori was like, oh, and I can't remember, but the original what is it, the original rider for the Black Dragon who hasn't bonded with anyone who's technically available. Because I know we talked about how there's two black dragons available, and one belongs to one of the other professors, and the other one hasn't technically bonded with anyone. Um, and I know that uh, the rider who that person or that dragon belonged to had saved someone, or
Tried to
tried
save
to.
someone.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
tried to
Tried to
save
save
someone.
Brennan. He tried to save Brennan.
Yeah, and it didn't work. But right when they said that, I was like, "Is this Brennan?" Like in my
Well,
head, I was like, "It has
yeah.
to be Brennan because he seems like, although we don't ever, or at least to this point, we've never, which I don't think we will, meet him or talk with him because we know he was killed, but." We're getting a whole storyline of this person who I feel like is an actually pretty important character to not really be in the book.
I know, isn't that kooky? um, yeah, I thought it was really fun to learn that the writer tried to save Brennan, and he really did burn himself out. So, and then that's when we learned from Professor Kaori that once you're out of I want to call it cadet training school, you'll find out that because you are a Sorengale, that people would literally die for you. So,
Yeah, that was cool because I know in the part of the book, yeah, he does mention during this conversation, doesn't he, where he's like, being a Sorengale, that probably doesn't do you any favors. It's like, no,
yeah,
people really
he's
want
like,
to knock
no.
me down a peg.
They want to kill me, poor girl.
But
Um,
it did strike it interesting for me because I was like, wow, this one specific person was like willing to really essentially die for Brennan trying to save him. But what I thought was weird was that he like, I guess even though Brennan was already mostly gone, he still tried to save him. So it's
oh yeah.
like I don't know what made you think like, oh, maybe there's a chance, or was he just like, nope, if you're going down, I'm going down. I don't know.
No, I feel like he thought he had a chance. I mean, you're like one of the most powerful, you have one of the most powerful signets, and it's just like, what if nobody really tested the limits to see how far we go? What if I can save him? So that's how I took it when I was reading it, is that he thought that because he was so powerful, he could actually do it.
Yeah.
And clearly now we know someone actually tried to do it and they burned themselves out. So you could burn yourself out by killing yourself if you overuse your power by but you're just digging deep inside your dragon to kind of siphon their power.
Well, and it was interesting because I think there was a part where it said signets usually, which I put in my notes, signets usually say more about the rider than the dragon. Um, so what's interesting is I kind of, when I initially thought, when I was reading the book, I thought that it was more the dragon that really gave the power or the signet to the rider, because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so the dragon is like, this is your gift for, for bonding with me. Like, here
You
you
seem
go. This
like a
is you.
healer. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
yeah, you
mean,
seem like this, but I guess it's more like the signet is more created off of the rider and more, I guess, internally about them. But and I guess this is more a question for the future side of the book. Does this mean that we'll have another person where they can absorb powers from other various sources? Because Naolin, I think that's the person's name, who was with the Black Dragon who tried to save Brennan, like now that he's gone, does that mean that there's a possibility of another person
oh,
who has
maybe
that
you should
signet?
stick a pin in it. Let's stick a pin in
Okay, hold on.
that.
Let's put that with the rest of our pins. Hold on. Boop.
And
Okay, it's
come
gone.
back.
We got it.
Yeah, no, I like our collection of pins going on because I feel like once you keep reading, you're either like, well, my pin made no sense, or, ooh, my pin.
Our
Let's
metaphorical
bring,
pins, we're just gonna take them out and review those later.
yeah, let's bring our pins down. But yeah, so that was a fun educational class. And then we scoot on over to, I feel like it's a little more fun action class. Probably not as heart throbbing because you said last time the one of the chapters you were like, my heart is throbbing the whole time when she was in the tree. But
Yeah.
we see at the end of chapter 8 is where our girl Violet is poisoning people, her cadets, so she could be on top. So she's all like telling Dane, like, don't worry, I got this and all this stuff. But she's really poisoning. And of course, like, she misses a step on the poisoning. So one of the people she's supposed to spar with goes to the medical wing a little bit earlier than anticipated. But here comes our white and shining armor, Xaden, to be like, don't worry, I'll fight with you. How how did you feel about that whole fighting or sparring scene? Like what popped out to you?
Well, initially when I was reading it, the first time she like poisoned the initial guy, I was like, okay, I mean, get it. That's pretty smart. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I was like, wow, okay, so she's using her mind because she knows her weakness is going to be in the sparring ring. So she's using her strength, which is like her mind and her smarts, to kind of overpower the fighting side of it. So she
Yeah.
knows, okay, I probably can't take this person on, but I can probably have a better chance at taking them on, or not even have to take them on because they essentially take themselves out by having this poison in them.
She's
Um,
playing dirty.
yeah, of winning. So I was like, well, that's really smart. I'm like, that's very interesting. And it tied back to, now I understand what she was doing when she was going in the tree. And I know they mentioned her looking at poisonous, berries or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so this
Oh,
is
she
going to
had a
come
whole
back around.
poison book.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this. Um, Now what I was a little confused by is, I'm like, well, why is she doing it for every single person? Because I get, yes, you want to get that, upper hand and getting a little bit more of an advantage. But I'm like, how obvious does this seem that the one person who fights with everyone, every
Every
person,
time,
because
yeah,
we see
they
this
get
over a
infected.
course of, yeah, I don't know however many weeks, but we see this over a course of weeks where she is like poisoning people. And I understand she's doing it slightly different. Like, she's like, oh, okay, well, this person's going to throw up and this person's going to get dizzy and this. But at the end of the day, don't you think all those people are going to come together and be like, man, every time we fight Violet, something goes on. Like, I get sick or I get dizzy, or, you know what I mean? And I'm like, eventually someone's going to catch on, which I think we come to find out someone does. But somebody eventually is going to catch on to this. And it's going to, it's either going to, work against her if the person who finds out is against her, or it's going to work in favor of her if it's someone like Dane, who maybe is like, I'm just, I want you to get through this, But I thought that was,
What?
I
Dana's a
thought it
too
was
goody two shoes.
right. I kind of was thinking, okay, this is kind of a daring thing. And I also had the same thought as Xaden, when Xaden was like, which, we can get into in a minute, but how Xaden perceived the whole thing, where he's like, you're not going to be able to just poison your enemies out in battle. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
you're going to go, hey, you and I are going to battle tomorrow, but I
But
want you
we're
to
gonna have a
drink
sip of
this.
key first. A sip of
Yeah,
tea.
we're gonna have this happen to you right now. Like, I'd like you to eat this food, please. Like, before we start fighting,
This is
can
my
you
peace
just
offering.
yeah, can you just take this food, please, and eat it before? Like, I get that. I'm like, really, you're just cheating your way through, which
Yeah.
might get you to pass the class, but it's not going to pass you in the real world that we're seeing.
Yeah. And we totally see that with Xaden because he completely disarms her without even trying. This poor little girl is fighting for her life right now, and this guy's like, boop, taking a dagger like every 5 seconds off of her.
Yeah.
So that when you first heard that he was gonna spar her, and then because you already know like he's not in her squad, he could kill her. Did you like what was your thoughts on all that happening? Like
Well,
as you found out that he was gonna spar to the very end. Like
yeah, I mean, I was a little worried for her. I was like, "Oh no, this isn't good." Like, I'm not gonna lie. When when we were going on with it, and they called, I can't remember the girl's name, but whoever the girl's name, they're like, Violet steps up, like, "Okay, where's my person?" And they don't call that person's name to step up with her. In my mind, my first initial thought was, "Oh, they caught on, and they switched the person Violet's gonna fight, and so now Violet's gonna fight some other person." But turns out I was half right and half wrong. She wasn't going to fight that person because she had poisoned this girl a little too early. So the girl didn't even make it onto the fighting mat. But then you have Xaden, who's probably the one person that has no chance against at all.
I know, and the professor was so excited about it.
Yeah, like, he hasn't been poisoned. Obviously, she wasn't expecting this. And now you have this guy who's this great fighter who has something against her, which I'm still a little up in the air with, if he actually has something against her or if he's working more to help her. um, to, take her on. And we see her over the course of however many weeks, because all of chapter, or the end of chapter 8, I should say, is like taken up in a course of time where they're constantly having people fight her. Every week there's a new fighter. So it's almost
Hmm.
fast forwarding, right? But we see her collecting these daggers, which are what symbols of like a reward. Like, you got a reward for fighting this person and winning, so you get to keep their dagger. So she's got all these daggers, right? She's got all of this, like, hey, check me out, look at how good I am, I'm this great fighter. And then you have Xaden, who comes in, who literally disarms her each one at a time, and doesn't even use them against her. He disarms her, and instead of holding it against her, he tosses it towards Dane as like, work on this, bud, like, work on this, you need to
Yeah.
help out your girl here, because she's clearly
Well,
not
he
making
basically
it.
showed her too that, hey, you can't just poison your way. It's not helping you in any way because look at what I could do to you. The real life world right there. Xaden was the real, like, recognition for her, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the difference between Xaden and Dane. Is Xaden, we're supposed to think he's got some anger towards her and like some animosity that he wants to take her out because of what her mom did to his dad. But I'm seeing more of a, like, like a teacher in him. Like, he's
Yeah.
genuinely teaching her. He's like looking at Dane like, I understand that you care about this girl, but you're not doing her any favors. You're not helping her. You're like, because he's so focused on getting her out of the writer's quadrant that he's like not wanting to, like, he's wanting to help her, but he's not teaching her anything because he's just so focused on the other side of it. Instead of being like, look, I have to accept that you're in the writer's quadrant. I don't have any other choice. So I'm going to do my best to make you learn and teach you how to do things, even with your weaknesses, because we see characters who have weaknesses, but they're still able to, fight, and they're still able to come out on top. You just have to learn how to work around those weaknesses. You might not be able to fight like every other person does, but let's switch it around. And as we know, she's quick, right? So we can see her kind of quickly moving around fighters. But I thought it was an interesting learning lesson, for not just for Violet, but also for Dane. Like, Xaden's teaching both of them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Dane, um,
Dane.
we do kind of, he does tell us what the reason why he wants her out at the end of the chapter, anyways, is because they are getting so close to threshing. And he was saying once you guys go out there, the second and third years cannot help you.
Hmm.
So he was telling her too that this is the time where the other cadets, like, they take out all the weaknesses and they kill each other. So if somebody comes up to Violet, like Jack, we all know Jack wants to kill her, this would be his perfect time to do that, and nobody can step in to help her.
Hmm. Yeah, because in like the sparring ring, you see them fighting, and then one of the, I guess, second, or I don't know what you'd call them, but someone like a Dane, for example, can be like, okay, stop, that's enough, and then they have to stop, right? Or you
Yeah.
can, yeah, or you can just tap out, or whatever the case might be. But when you're actually in the threshing, it's not like you can do that. It sounds like it's a either kill or be killed kind of situation, right?
But the whole thing too is if you're in a different squad, you could totally kill them on the mat because we've already seen Jack kill a
Yeah,
couple of people and a few more people have died. So
and explain that to me, because I'm a little confused on, like, how, I don't know, maybe I just missed that part, but I'm a little confused on the whole, why Xaden can kill Violet because he's in a different squad, but he's technically in the fourth wing with her. I don't know. I think I need a diagram. I think someone
So
needs
the
to
way
draw
I
me a
look at
diagram of
it
this
is they're just
person.
like the strongest people could survive, but then you got to think your squad is like the people who are supposed to have your back and you're always fighting with. So the people within your squad, they shouldn't be killing each other because then you have like no faith in one another. Nobody's going to be like, oh, I could have your back in this battle, but then it's like the second we get, you're going to kill me. So it's like out of different sections, it's like if I think you're the weaker link and you're going to destroy my entire wing, I want to
Mhm.
take you out.
I
So I
see.
can because we're not in the same. It's like for
Yeah.
the good of the wing or something.
Yeah. Like, if you're dragging us down, it's better
I
to
could
take
kill
you
you
out so that we
now.
can create
Yeah.
strength in our squad. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Which is
I like that.
so bad because it's like, okay, yeah, Jack is probably a lot stronger, but do you think he's a lot smarter than Violet? I feel like you could have the smarts of Violet. Everybody has their own unique and different strengths, which I feel like is so important to everything if you think about it. But here it's
Yeah.
just like, you're weak, I'm killing you. It's like, all right.
Yeah, and it kind of is, a downfall for Violet because she already has the weakness of being essentially brittle, right? Like
Yeah.
she's, she can't really just, get take a punch like somebody who can and just get up and maybe move like Xaden, right? Like she's got a little bit of that in her. And that's why I get so frustrated with Dane because I'm like, I understand in the beginning where you're like, oh, you gotta leave, you gotta leave, you gotta leave, you gotta leave. But then you're like, okay, now that I know you can't leave or you're not going to leave, let me help you overcome things. That's where I'm just like so frustrated with him is I'm like, you're not doing her any favors, you know? Zayden's helping her more. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what's so crazy to me. But yeah, I can see that as, if you're considered what a liability, they're gonna want to get rid of you because, they're like, we've got to push forward and we can't push forward if you're holding us back.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, I thought it was
So,
interesting though at the end of the chapter, again, we see, speaking of what I just said, we see Dane giving her one last like, come on, please. I talked to, the guy, is it the professor? He talked to someone from the scribe side who was like, oh, I'll take her. We'll take her over here at the scribe side. She can leave the writer's quadrant, come over here and we'll take her in and we won't even tell her mom. We'll just we'll bring her in, and by the time her mom even finds out, it'll be too late for her to switch. Which I feel like now is kind of crazy because now we're presenting Violet with an opportunity to literally get out. Like she's like, okay, this is actually, if I essentially was really not serious about being a writer, like if she was genuinely not wanting to do this, she can leave. This is her
yeah.
opportunity. But we see her now kind of, given an opportunity to be like, do I want to leave though? Like, we're going to now, I feel like going into the next chapter or so, we're going to find out what does she really want? Because initially, yeah, she wanted to be a scribe. She trained her whole life to be a scribe. She, got 6 months of trainings to be a writer. But all of a sudden we're seeing her start to like really like this side of it because she's kind of figuring out another side of something she might like. So she tells Dane she's going to think about it. Um, but this is literally her out. So we're going to find out what does she really want? Does she want to go to the scribes or does she want to stay with the writers that she never initially thought she would actually want to do?
Oh, well, maybe it'll pop up in chapters 10 and 11.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I guess we're going to find out. I mean, really, I feel like chapter 8 had a lot. 9 was just mostly Xaden and Violet fighting and him disarming her. And we see how almost like a cat
Teach.
playing with their mouse or their food. Yeah, it's a teaching lesson. Like he's like,
Hmm.
I could take you out if I want. I'm not going to. I'm just trying to show you you need to do better.
Yeah,
You're
because
not
then
going to
he even
survive
gives
like this.
gives her pointers like, don't go for the big moves, go for
Hmm.
something that's gonna be
Which
effective.
is
So,
why I feel like Xaden is supposed to have this portrayal of I don't like her. I don't like Violet. I'm supposed to want her, out and gone. But there's something in him that's holding him back. And I'm very curious to know as we continue reading, what is this thing that's making him have more sympathy for Violet? I mean, a theory I have in my mind is maybe he wasn't an enemy of Brennan's. I don't know. I could be wrong because I've never read the book. This is my first time reading through it. But I'm like, maybe even though they were on opposite sides, maybe Brennan, maybe Brennan and Xaden have like some type of like they had a relationship. Like Xaden had one with him, and so they were on opposite sides, and they had to like fight separately. But maybe there was something more that people didn't know about, and Xaden has to create this illusion of, yeah, I don't like Violet Thorngale. No, I don't. But in really, he's like, I'm gonna help her.
oh,
I don't know, just a theory.
yeah, no, it's a good theory. Did you want to put a pin in it?
I was gonna say, let's put a pin in that one. We'll pull that one off later as we get a little closer to find out if I'm right or not. But
Okay, I guess we'll find out next week.
but I have to say, I am really getting into the book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a harder time now stopping as we are doing this podcast. I'm like, okay, I have to stop now, which normally when I'm reading a book, I'm like, okay, another chapter, okay, another chapter. But now I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to stop. And it's hard. So I'm excited to now continue reading on to chapters 10 and 11 and see what
Yes.
happens. So
Ooh.
I'm excited.
All right. Yes.
So, well, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we end this episode?
No, but we do love you guys.
We do. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate it. If you're following us on YouTube, make sure to like it. It helps the algorithm. We really appreciate it. We're having fun with this little, you know, what do you call it? Online podcast book club with everyone. It's been fun, especially if you're on Amanda's side where you read the book and you know what's going to happen and you're here to just see my reactions, or if you're on my side where you've never read the book and you're reading them with me and you're like, oh, that's a great point. I don't know. We're getting different perspectives here. But if you haven't already, be sure to be following us on social media. We are on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, actually. But we are Two Sisters, One Book, the number one. And then, yeah, we're on YouTube. We're on all that fun stuff. So if you guys could go ahead and subscribe and even share it, we would appreciate it, because the more people we have in our little book club, the more we'll have to discuss. And yeah, if we missed anything, like obviously we're covering more of like the, key points, but if you feel like you have a different perspective on something, we'd love to hear it. We always encourage other perspectives into what we're seeing. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
well, it was good to see you, and I will see you guys on the next chapter, and I will see you later.
For sure. Bye.
Bye.